What is going on, guys? Drew YGO back with another deck profile, and today we are going to be doing my Yosenjus, or Yosenjus, that I guess it's kind of a dual archetype, but I kind of count it as one. This is just going to be Yosenju. Before I get started, a lot of these Yosenju decks will be kind of revolved around getting out level 4 or rank 4 Xyz monsters, but my particular build is one that doesn't use the extra deck at all and is kind of mainly focused on board control and board clearing with your pendulum monsters. So let's go ahead and get started with it. So first off, we're running 3 copies of my Yosenju Daibak. Its pendulum effect is when a Yosenju monster you control declares an attack, you can have that attacking monster gain 300 attack until the end of the battle phase. And its monster effect is it cannot be special summoned except by a pendulum summon, and its pendulum summon cannot be negated. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target up to 2 cards on the field and return them to the hand. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card was special summoned, return it to the hand. A lot of the Yosenju cards do return themselves back to the hand during the end phase, so you can make a lot of use out of cards like Dimensional Fissure or Macrocosmos, but we're not running any of those because this is mainly just about bouncing your opponent's cards and dealing a huge amount of damage with your big pendulum monsters. Next up, we're running 3 copies of my Yosenju Haitot. Its pendulum effect is you can target a Yosenju card in your pendulum zone. For the rest of the turn, its pendulum scale becomes 11. Also, you cannot special summon monsters except for Yosenju monsters, even if this card leaves the field. During your end phase, return this card to the hand. You can only use each pendulum effect of my Yosenju Haitot once per turn. So this is mainly the way that you're going to be bringing out not only itself but also Daibak, because its scale is 3 and its scale is 7 and they're both level 10. You're going to have to raise the scale of one of your pendulums up to 11 so you can pendulum summon both of them. So you want to have this one out in your pendulum scales first, along with any of your other pendulum monsters. Then you can freely special summon them as much as you possibly can. Its monster effect is it cannot be special summoned except by a pendulum summon, just like Daibak. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. Each time a card or cards on the field is returned to the hand or main deck by your card effect, while this card is on the field, all Yosenju monsters you currently control gain 500 attack. Like I said, this does have incredible OTK potential because of the power boosting of all the monsters. And they have pretty good stats too. Daibak's got 3,000 and Haitot has 2,000 but can easily raise that up to 3,000 during your turn. Next, we're running 3 copies of Yosenju Sabu. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card was normal summoned this turn, return it to the hand, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is normal summoned, if you control another Yosenju card, you can add 1 Yosenju Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, and you can target a Yosenju monster card or just a Yosenju card you control. Place 1 Dizzying Winds of the Yosen Village or Yosen Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone, and if you do, shuffle the targeted card into the deck. This is mainly what you're going to be using to search out your pendulum monsters. If you control another Yosenju card, for example one of your Shinchus, then you can go ahead and get the search off of that and grab one of your pendulum monsters that you're missing, or maybe you just need one of your bosses and you already have your scale set up so you can actually pendulum summon. So this is a definite 3 of. Now we're only running 1 Yosenju, 3, because this isn't really vital to it, because we do have a plethora of ways to actually get to the important cards. But we are running the Yosenju, 3 because when it is out on the field, it can put in work. If this card is normal summon, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 Yosenju monster from your hand, except for Yosenju, 3. When another Yosenju monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can add 1 Yosenju card from your deck to your hand, except for Yosenju, 3. This is kind of why we're running only 1 copy, because its search effect is kind of slow. You have to actually inflict battle damage to your opponent to get it going. We are only running 1 copy of this. Next, we're running 3 copies of Yosenju Shinchu L. Its pendulum effect is if a Yosenju monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. And its monster effect is, if this card is normal summon, change it to defense position. Your opponent cannot target Yosenju monsters you control with card effects, except for this one. So this card is pretty good at protecting your Yosenjus by card effects. Exactly once, I guess. But you're not gonna really be having this out on the field that much, except to act as kind of a wall. It does have 2100 defense, so that's pretty decent for a level 4 monster with 0 attack. Then we have the 3 copies of Yosenju Shinchu R. Its pendulum effect is, once per turn, if you have a Yosenju card in your other pendulum zone, you can make this card's pendulum scale become 11 until the end of this turn. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except Yosenju monsters, even if this card leaves the field. You'll kind of notice that each of the gates kind of mimic the corresponding pendulum monster, which I think is really cool. And that's also why I kind of put them on top of each other. But its monster effect is the exact same. If it's normal summon, you swap it to defense position, and your opponents cannot target... Oh, well, I guess its effect is they cannot target them for attacks instead of card effects, like in the case of Shinchu L. So, like I said, if you don't have the other Yosenju in your hand, and you really need to pendulum summon one of them, and you have both of these in the hand, you can certainly make use of these by raising this card's scale to 11, and being able to pendulum summon all of your big, scary monsters. Finally, from the monsters, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, because it wouldn't be a Drew YGO deck without Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, I guess. But, like I mentioned in other videos, if you want to run different hand traps, or any kind of ratios like that, feel free to swap them in and out, but I feel like Ash Blossom is just the best for this deck in particular, because you want to be able to stop your opponent's plays while they're playing. And this is a really, really great going second deck. Speaking of going second, we have the 3 copies of Lightning Storm. Like I said, this is going second, and because of their kind of gimmick where they bounce back to the hand during the end phase, you won't be having cards on the field a lot. So you can still use this on maybe the 3rd turn or the 5th turn, depending on what's kind of been going on in your match. But this is just a good staple going second card. Next, we have 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Like I said, we aren't really running any monsters in the extra deck that is important, because this is mainly a control build version of the Yosenju deck. So we have the Pot of Extravagance to just banish a bunch of cards from the extra deck, and then draw 2 cards to maybe draw into your important combo pieces, or anything like that. Next, we have 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. I would like to run 3. But I ran Fire Formation Tanky at 2, because not only is it now, they have now allowed us to have 2 of these, but this is really good search card for this particular archetype, because Sabu is a Beast Warrior, and so is Kama 3. But either way, I'm getting ahead of myself. 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. 3 copies of, okay, now bear with me here, Yosenju Orochi Channeling. Alright, I got it, first time. If you control no monsters, activate one of the following effects. Also, for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except for Yosenjus. You can either add 1 level 5 or higher Yosenju monster from your deck to your hand, or you can place 1 Yosenju Shinchu L and R from your deck in your pendulum zones, but destroy them during your opponent's next end phase. That second effect is not great. However, that first effect is really good, because let's say you have Daibak in the hand, but no Hitot. You can go ahead and activate this, add your Hitot, set it up for next time around, right? So all in all, extremely good card. Next, we got the 1 copy of Called by the Grave. I wish this was at 2, but unfortunately, Konami hates me, so we only have the 1 copy of Called by the Grave. 2 copies of Fire Formation Tenki to search out your Beast Warriors. 1 copy of Divine Wind of the Mist Valley. This is kind of a tech option in a way. I've just been trying it out. It's worked, right? Once per turn, if a wind monster you control returns to the hand, you can special summon a level 4 or lower wind monster from your deck. Like I said, it's kind of a tech option, and it's kind of gimmicky, because by the time you actually get the effects of this actually going, you're probably already in a game state where you've got your big bosses in your hand, and you just don't really need to special summon a level 4 or lower wind monster. But we do have it in there just in that niche circumstance. For the trap cards, we're running 2 copies of Yosenju's Sword Sting. Let me just turn that down a little bit. If you control no monsters, you can reveal up to 2 Yosenjus with different names in your hand. Then target the same number of face-up cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand. You can only activate one of these per turn. So, the interesting thing about returning a monster back to the hand is that it kind of sidesteps the whole being immune to destruction thing. And if you target an extra deck monster with an effect that returns it to the hand, it will go back to the extra deck and they'll have to summon it again all over again. So the whole gimmick revolving around this is kind of, in a way, anti-meta. I don't want to say it's anti-meta, but it's really good against the meta because a lot of the cards that are tier 0 right now are immune to destruction. So this kind of goes around that in a way, which is why I really, really love this deck. Also, they look awesome and we're in the anime. So, hey, what can you really do about it, right? Next, we got the 3 copies of Drowning Mirror Force. If you want to drop this down to 1 and add in 1 copy of Dark Ruler No More, that's totally fine. But Drowning Mirror Force in this deck is really good because it shuffles all of them back into the deck, which again kind of skirts around the destruction immunity and the targeting immunity. So if a card is immune to targeting and destruction, Drowning Mirror Force can go around that because not only does it not target, it shuffles them into the deck. So for this deck in particular, very, very strong. Finally, we have the one copy of Dizzying Winds of the Yosen Village. You can activate this card only if you have a level 6 or higher Yosenju monster. While you have a Yosenju card in your Pendulum Zone, if a monster would be returned from the field to the hand by a card effect, you can shuffle it into the deck instead, unless it's a Yosenju monster. So this card can be set directly from the deck by Yosenju Sabu, and give me just 1 second. So it can be set directly from the deck by Yosenju Sabu. So we're only running the 1 copy of it, and it kind of boosts your boss monster's effects by, instead of them returning to the hand, they go right back to the deck. Which can be advantageous in a lot of scenarios, but mostly, considering what decks you're probably going to be going up against, they'll have a lot of extra deck monsters, so they'll go back to the extra deck anyways, and so having 3 copies of this is kind of pointless, because not many boards end up on just main deck monsters, so we only have the 1 copy of this. And like I said, in the extra deck, I just shoved a whole bunch of wind fusion monsters in here just to be banished off the effect of Pot of Extravagance. But if you do want to run rank 4 monsters, you certainly can. If you want to run at least 1 copy of Gustav, you can, just to get an extra bit of burn damage. So that's pretty much the extra deck, right? It's just there for Pot of Extravagance so you can draw cards. Alright guys, and that is the deck list. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we're going to get into some duel replays here in a minute. This has been Drew YGO. Until next time.